What is up, my Squirtleites? It is I, your king. Welcome you back to more Let's Play Ghost of Tsushima. In the last episode, we took down Khotun Khan, dealing a devastating blow to the Mongol horde, and effectively ending our battles against them here on Tsushima. In this episode, we are back here in our home, Omi Village, and we are going to be meeting with our uncle, Lord Shimada, who sent us a message, hoping that we would, well, find him here. This episode is going to be very light on the commentary, in so much that I'm pretty much just going to save the commentary for this intro and the credits. This is the finale. This is it. There's going to be credits. And I'm just going to let the gameplay and the cutscenes and the dialogue and the story and all the voice acting speak for itself for the remainder of this video. I'm not focused on a time limit for this episode. I'm just going to go until we're done. So, with all that said, let's get this show on the road.
Jin,
Uncle,
I wasn't sure you would come.
I wanted to talk with you. If we work together, we can drive off the remaining Mongols, start rebuilding our home.
That is not your duty. The Shogun has disbanded Clan Sakai. As of today, you are no longer samurai.
I sacrificed everything for my people. And I would do it again.
New samurai are coming to replace those we lost. They will occupy your land and estate.
I have to say goodbye to my home.
Ride with me.
Will you remain in Chito of Tsushima?
Yes. Shogun asked me to train his warriors to fight the Mongols.
Good. They won't give up until they've conquered all of Japan.
I will spend what years I have left ensuring they fail. A task I hoped we would face together, as father and son.
You can still remarry, start a new family.
Yes, I suppose I can. Looks like he could use a push.
Here, let us help you.
Do not trouble yourselves, my lord.
Nonsense.
You can't do it alone.
You are much too kind. The mud is thicker than it looks.
That's a heavy load. Where are you headed?
Jogaku. The ghost army is up there.
He has an army.
You didn't hear? They'll sail for the Mongol steppes with a storm at their back. Burn their homes to the ground.
An impressive goal.
This is everything I can offer them. I hope it helps.
Then we will see you on your way.
Thank you, my lord.
Jogaku is many miles from here. Keep away from the mud and the Mongols.
I will.
I have no idea what he's talking about.
Not here. Follow me.
I don't have an army.
Every day, more people flock to your cause. The Shogun is concerned. I am concerned.
You have nothing to fear.
When the new clans arrive, will people bow to their samurai? Or betray them in the name of the ghost?
I won't let them do that. They'll listen to me.
You openly defied me, Jin. My most trusted warrior. You taught our people to disobey their leaders. What makes you think your followers will obey you? That's enough riding. Walk with me, Jin.
As you wish. My family's cemetery.
The resting place of 7 generations of Sakai, including your mother.
And my father.
We must pay our respects.
I will miss this.
So will I. The Shogun has declared you a traitor.
He ordered you to kill me.
The ghost was an outlaw. He taught our people to defy their leaders.
To defend themselves.
With poison. A gift you gave to our enemy.
I had to stop you from throwing away our people's lives.
You have no honor.
And you are a slave to it.
You are my son. Now I must continue the line of Shimura without you. I must start a new family.
And my head is the cost.
Taking it is my punishment. Our final day together. It is beautiful. It's time. Write the last words of Clan Sakai.
And Clan Shimura. strength in every step. A bond broken forever. Will death redeem us?
Your parents will always be with you.
Yes, Uncle.
I will train you to become the strongest warrior Clan Sakai has ever known. I will raise you as my own son. Are you ready?
I am ready.
I don't want to hurt you. The wounds you dealt to my spirit will never heal.
Killing me will only make them worse.
I can't fear the Shogun.
You want revenge for my failure.
This is not my revenge. It is my punishment. Honor me with a warrior's death.
I will make sure you are remembered as a great warrior, a wise leader, and a father.
Thank you, son. Find me in the next life.
I will.
with that, ladies and gentlemen, Let's Play Ghost of Tsushima has more or less come to an end. I usually take the time as the credits begin to roll to reflect on my thoughts on the game and talk about what I liked and disliked about it. Usually what I liked about it, because I don't usually Let's Play games I dislike on this channel. And I just kind of go over what I thought about each aspect and just kind of wrap it all up in a nice little bow. But seeing as how we still have an entire expansion left, the Iki Island expansion, I feel like my thoughts on the game in its entirety will be best left for when that is done. Instead, I'm going to use this time to talk about what has wrapped up, and that's the narrative. Particularly, though, I want to focus on the choice I had Jin make at the very end. Because to me, it's a no-brainer, but I feel like to some people, they're going to see things in a different light, so we might as well go over that. Because something that I greatly respect about Ghost of Tsushima's story is how subtle it is. For all intents and purposes, up to this point, Ghost of Tsushima's story has been pretty bland, pretty wooden. Most of the characters themselves are pretty wooden. And a lot of that has to do with the influences and the type of feeling that this game is trying to evoke with its storytelling, for sure. But you could also argue that these characters don't have a lot going on with them. They're very one note. They have a lot of, a very singular personality, all of them, and you don't really get a whole lot out of their motivations. But I disagree on that. And I feel like it's one of those things that you really need to pay attention to, because the message that Ghost of Tsushima sends is an incredibly mature, very bold and different message that I don't think you see in video games at all, let alone really all that often in movies. And I want to, or books for that matter. It's something that's very adult and very applicable to the real world, if we're being honest, at least in some situations. So let's talk about the decision that was made real quick. To kill or to spare Lord Shimura. There's the obvious route we could go with this, in that Lord Shimura asked Jin right there and then to end his life, let him die with honor. We can take it at a face value, sure, but you could also be of the mind that Jin killing Lord Shimura is him giving into the ghost persona, which goes against pretty much everything that this story has been telling us about, everything that the characters have warned us of up to this point, particularly characters like Sensei Ishikawa, and obviously Lord Shimura himself. A big message in the game is that as much as the code of the samurai is important, as much as honor is important, family is just as, if not more so, important. Lord Shimura stresses this many times throughout the game. As much as he is committed to honor, family is also very important to him. Sensei Ishikawa, his whole tale is about regretting his choice and losing his family due to what he essentially calls meaningless fluff in the end, and realizing that it was a waste, it was a mistake, and he should not have let Tomoe go. But then we see a tale like the tale of Lady Masako, who her entire purpose is to avenge her family. And it drives her so insane that in the end, she even attacks her friends. It's all she cares about. She's obsessed with it. And when it comes to the very end, there's visible regret. There's a sudden realization that in a way she also kind of failed her family. And, again, this permeates throughout the game. And then Yuna, of course, all she lives for is Taka. And then when he dies, then she kind of doesn't know what to do except for to fight for Jin. Every single character, you see that in some way or another. So it's like Jin throwing that away, killing his uncle and ending his line. You go, that's absolutely the worst possible outcome for him, right? Well, the reason I disagree is because in killing Lord Shimura, he also proves his uncle wrong. Because being someone who is completely beholden to honor and the code behind it, his uncle believes he has none. He thinks that Jin is totally devoid of any morals. He only exists to kill and to win by any means necessary, and that goes against everything that he thinks, not that he actually did, but everything he thinks he taught Jin. Jin, on the other hand, very much respects his uncle. He very much does care about honor and code and things like that. But what he cares about just a little bit more is the people of Tsushima. And we see that throughout the entire game. That is his entire driving force. His whole motivating factor is to save his home and the people in it by any means necessary. And that's why he goes to the lengths and the extremes that he does. And it's something that Lord Shimura refuses to understand. to then have the duel that they just had under the circumstances, and to then let his uncle go and become a fugitive, I feel like is a much more honorless and selfish option, due to the fact that he knows full well that even though his uncle wants to kill him, he is going to leave him with shame. He is going to leave him dishonored. He is going to essentially sully the entire clan name and be left an outlaw for the remainder of his days. But by ending his uncle's life, he teaches him one last lesson, that no, despite everything that has been done, he still remembers the lessons that his uncle taught him. He still has that honor. He still has that dignity. And in turn, he doesn't leave his uncle to rule the island for the remainder of his days with that burden still weighing on him, with that shame, which would honestly be worse for both of them, I think. Now, I should also mention really quickly that you can cynically choose between them, because depending on the choice you make, you get a different colored die, either a white one or a red one. I did not even remotely factor that into my decision. I felt like I should only go by the choice that I feel Jin would make in that scenario. But yeah, you technically get different colored dies, and you can only end up with one or the other, not both, depending on the choice that you make, but I digress. But I want to talk about the message real quick, because I mentioned that at the beginning. Because like I said, I think it's incredibly mature. I think it's very subtly told. It's something that just kind of comes to the forefront at the end, because we talked about this when I was in Yarikawa, and I kind of explained what was happening before we began to plan the assault on Khotun Khan's fortress. It's like, is Jin going to cave in and regain his honor and join his uncle, or is his uncle going to understand what Jin is fighting for? No, neither of those things happens, actually. Lord Shimada clings to his beliefs. He stands by everything that he has said up to this point and doesn't change, and so does Jin. And that is where they clash. But what's so interesting, what I love about this relationship between the two of them, is that in so many ways they have the exact same goals. In so many ways they believe the exact same things. Lord Shimada, for all intents and purposes, is Jin's father. He taught him almost everything he knew. Jin has been without anyone but him since he was a kid. And you see that in the way he behaves. But because they diverge at this one point, it causes this massive rift. And it's the reason I want to say that this is real world applicable is because there's a lot of scenarios like that in real life. There's a lot of moments, a lot of just such what seems to be minor differing points of views that cause these massive divides in the way that we go about things, and that cause these huge rifts between people. And I'm not going to like name any instances of this. I mean, this can be something as much as a parent and child relationship, much like what is in the game. That you can have good parents or a good guardian who raises you and instills within you these values, and you, for the most part, agree with many of the same things, but it's the way that it's executed just makes you diverge just enough that suddenly they're like, I don't even know who you are anymore. I don't know how you're my kid or the child I raised. You're nothing like me, when that's not correct at all. That completely removes nuance. That completely divorces the entire topic of context. And it's honestly what causes a lot of real world problems. And even to this day, and the fact that this game is mature enough to send that message and say that, look, rigidity is never the answer. Rigidity is how you end up like Lord Shimada. That's not to necessarily say that Jin is correct, because that's another thing I appreciate about this game. A lot of the things Jin is doing is horrific. He is, for all intents and purposes, a war criminal, much like the Mongols are, but he is doing some awful, awful things in this game. So there's a lot of moral ambiguity about it. But at the same time, you could also say the same thing about Lord Shimada with a lot of the things he does. The way he just sends his men in to die for the sake of it being the honorable way to fight. You could just as well say that's a horrible thing to do, because he knew full well it was going to happen. But that's not the point. It's not about whether everything they do is right or wrong. It's more about how they are so similar, but yet there's just this one tiny, tiny smidgen of a thing that balloons into a greater problem that completely separates them and ruins everything they ever had. That is, well, at least my takeaway from the game. I don't know if that's entirely what Sucker Punch intended when they were writing this story. I don't even know if they really cared all that much. They just kind of wanted to finish writing this tragedy, because that's what Ghost of Tsushima is. It's a tragedy for everybody involved. Nobody comes out of this as happy as they were before the events of the game. Lady Masako lost her entire family. Sensei Ishikawa lost his student and all of his friends and all the other samurai. Yuna lost her brother. Norio lost his brother and many of his monk friends. Lord Shimada lost his surrogate son, his life, and Jin lost his father figure. I mean, nobody comes out of this 100% happy at all. It is a tragedy. It's supposed to be. And maybe that's all Sucker Punch wanted it to be, but that little tidbit there that they give away at the end, that relationship and the way in which it broke down, I feel like there's a lot to learn from that. I think that that is very interesting and very daring and makes this game very special in a way that you wouldn't otherwise expect. Because like I said, you take all that away and the story, it's not that great. It really isn't. I mean, like I said, again, these characters are intentionally written this way, but they are very wooden. They're very stilted. They're very standard and stereotypical. And you could even make the argument that's just flat out bad writing. I would disagree with you, but I can totally see where you're coming from. But I think that this story did something very, very special, and I applaud it for that. And, yeah, that's all I have to say on that. Ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be it for this episode, this Let's Play, for now, of Let's Play Ghost of Tsushima. I hope you all enjoyed it very, very much, and I will see you all in the next one.